You can catch me right in. It's fine.
Hey, how's it going? This is Guillermo Camacho at Alisa High School. I'll be the reflective coach for.
For Jose Ramos, is conducting my early induction, early completion for induction. Um, Currently doing my second year. First year was internship, and now I'm going through the process of early completion for induction program.
So, now that you're in your second year, how do you feel? Last year is preparing you for this year, and these, or how was that experience, and how do you feel about that coming into this year?
I think last year, just having a full year with our students, just is a really good experience that allows me to, build off of the things that went really well for me, and to learn from the things that maybe didn't work out as I thought they would. And it allows me to change up my teaching methods, or reinforce the ones that did work, and just continue to build on on the successes from last year.
So, it was a pretty good foundation for you, or
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. I think the biggest thing is experience, and just being in front of kids, just having our classes. I think that's invaluable. Anything that we do, that we learn or read or study, that all helps. But actually being in front of the students is experience that's completely invaluable in our profession.
That's the real deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, not until you're out there that you actually feel everything, and you know exactly what changes need to be made, and what's working, what's not working. What are I mean, what were some of the specific things that you would say finishing last year that puts you in a better place, at least for this year when you started this year? What are some of the things that you focused on a little bit more to make your year a little bit more successful this year? Because I'm seeing a lot of improvement. And
I think one of the biggest things that I felt that I learned from last year that I'm bringing into this year was um, structuring my lessons for more than about 1 or 2 days at a time, but structuring them throughout the unit, um, so that I'm able to cover everything I want to cover, and I don't get lost in what I'm doing during those first weeks or two of a unit.
Yeah.
And then I kind of rush at the very end, just or say maybe I just completely missed something, because I didn't plan my time accordingly.
do you feel you're more alert to and seeing those little things? And I mean, you critique yourself very well, and I mean, through our experience, our interactions, I feel we reflected a lot on through even last year when I wasn't even working with you necessarily up next to each other. But I notice right now you're taking even more control and your lessons are a little bit better structured. Yes, we talk about your pace and your flow. Is that big thing due to your classroom management and how you structure everything daily, as far as expectations too from your students?
Oh, absolutely. So at the beginning of the year, just setting those expectations, and making sure the students understand classroom rules and the routine, it saves a lot of time, and it enables me to focus on the actual objectives and the student learning, versus having to focus so much on classroom management. Classroom management is something that if my lessons are structured the right way and they're student engaging, the students are engaged in those lessons. Classroom management just becomes pretty easy because the students are completely engaged. They don't have time, or they don't even the thought doesn't even run through their mind to go ahead and get off track or off topics.
Right. When you have substitute teachers, I notice that too. The students run the class, and we've gotten a lot of great feedback from your substitutes when they step in. So kudos to you for structuring that. Now with you're teaching both freshmen and upperclassmen, and given the difference in age group and experience and your units, what are some of the things and strategies that you have used to make sure both groups are still moving accordingly? And I mean, what do you target in your class?
Um, so I have two different sets of classes that are that I'm essentially teaching the same units,
Mm-hmm.
but at different levels, right? Some students that are my upperclassmen have done many of these activities before,
Right, right.
and then some of my students have never done some of these activities at all, and really having to differentiate what I'm doing for each of those classifications of students is really something I'm trying to work on to make sure I can target everyone and make sure those that are more advanced, you know, don't get either left out or just get restless with doing things that they've already became subject experts at, and I don't want to leave behind those other students that are beginners and still need that base and foundation. So what I like to do is I do like to tend to create two different objectives for those classifications of students. So for those that are advanced and those that are more novice and beginners, I like to figure out how I can provide individual practices for them or independent practices for them. But at the same time, I find ways to intertwine them together so that they're, the newer students or the beginners are able to learn from those that are more advanced, and those that are more advanced are able to help out the
The group.
so now they're learning by teaching, and it really does help the class run on its own, and that allows me to just release the class for
That's
for
one of
them
our.
to run it.
That's a huge perk of our profession as our subject too, physical education. The key word I got, key terms were your differentiating instruction.